Hello, friends. Welcome to Shub Psychology Podcast. My name is Yogendra, and in this podcast, I am going to talk about learning about fear. Yes, learning about fear. So, a lot of early evidence linking the amygdala to fear came from studies that looked at a type of learning called fear conditioning. These experiments involved taking a subject, let's just say a rat, since rats are often the subjects in these experiments, doesn't think of as good or bad, like a beeping tone, and try to link it to something the rat considers categorically bad, like a mild electrical shock. You can do this by repeatedly playing the tone right before you give the rat a little shock. If you do this enough, eventually the rat will start to show sign of fear when you play the tone. Whether the shock immediately follows it or not, this process where the behavior becomes more common in response to a previously neutral stimulus, such as the tone, is known as conditioning. Conditioning involves learning to make an association between two things that previously didn't have a strong connection in the mind. Because the learning in this case involves a fear response, the process is referred to as fear conditioning. When scientists turned their attention to the amygdala's role in fear conditioning, many found similar results. Damage to the amygdala, or the neural pathways that connect it to other parts of the brain, disrupts fear-related learning. If, for example, you damage the amygdala of a rat, then try to get it to recognize a tone as a sign that a shock is just around the corner, they won't learn to make the association. And no matter how many times the tone is followed by a shock, the rat with the damaged amygdala won't react in a fearful way after just hearing the tone. After studies in rats with intact amygdalae found that neurons in the amygdala were more active when the tone was played, and then studies with people found similar results. The amygdala is engaged when people are learning to fear something. Thus, the evidence was pointing to a role for the amygdala in learning about fearful things. It seems to help create memories that allow us to recognize the things in the world that are potentially dangerous. In the next podcast, we will talk about the amygdala as a threat detector. Thank you so much for listening to us. See you in the next podcast.